Guys, I have a new take on one of my favorite decks. Okay, it's kind of toxic, and that is Tenpai, all right? But this is a new take on the deck that I've never seen done before. And I didn't even say hi to you guys. What's going on, guys? You already know we're back. But I'm really excited to show you guys this deck list because I think it's very unique, especially going into the next format. I think it does a few things very well, specifically because of the new time rules as well. Going second and OTKing is actually a very viable strategy now. And I think this deck does a couple things well that I'm going to talk about when I get into the deck profile. So let's just get right into it and you guys will see what I try to mean, right? Okay, so first things first. 3 Pydra, of course. I think Pydra is obviously still the best normal summon, but we're also pairing it with 2 Genroku because I think 5 normal summons in a deck mathematically makes the most sense. And then Genroku is always going to get you into your Pydra, which is going to get you into your combo. And then of course we only have the 1 Chandra in the TCG. We're playing the 1 Fadra, the 1 Summoning, the 1 Kaimin, and the 1 Terraforming. I think this is a pretty standard Tenpai engine. I wouldn't change this at all. I think, yeah, really I wouldn't change anything at all. Ideally, if these came off the ban list, I'd play more. But for now, this is what we're playing. Now, where the deck differs and where I think it's actually really cool is we're playing the K9 package. So we're playing 3 Izuna, 1 Lupus, and then 1 X-Force. This is it. Very small package. I know Noroi, or I think I'm saying that right, but Noroi is coming out soon. You don't need to play Noroi in a deck like this one, but specifically this package here is really good because there's 2 things that it does well. 1, it gives you a turn 0 play. So any going second blind deck that has a turn 0 play, that's never really existed in Yu-Gi-Oh before. So now you have a turn 0 play on a blind second deck, which is crazy. And then on top of that, this is going to provide you with a negate, something like a Ripper, right? When you're ending on something like Ripper, and then let's say, you know, your opponent passes, whatever it is, you go normal summon Pydra, they try to negate your Pydra, you have a negate for that, right? So you have that protection there. These on their own are also really big bodies for you. That's going to be very beneficial. And then this also sets up your Werewolf play, and Werewolf's also another big body that kind of is disruption. So the really cool thing about these engines, although they don't synergize in the sense of they like don't get into each other, they don't bridge, the reason they work so well together is because seeing a single Izuna gives this deck a turn 0 play that it never had before, and you're not relying on like seeing a breaker or whatever it is, right? This is kind of setting up both a negate and like it's both offensive and defensive for you. So that's why I really like this engine. And then of course we're also just playing the 1 Magnamut and the 1 Druid Worm. I still like playing these 2. I think it's really good in today's format. Mitsu is still a really good deck. Yumi is still a really good deck. And these 2 cards are just generically good into them. Of course, Magna searches any of these, which is important. And then Julius is just another form of disruption for you, right? So I'm still playing the Bystial monsters here, but this is what I call my quote-unquote engine. There's 2 separate engines really, but I think the really nice thing and the way they work is just this provides a different level of consistency in terms of setting up your boards that Tenpai never had. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that if you can't OTK with Tenpai as well, this engine kind of gives you a little bit of a quote-unquote grind in the sense of, you know, being able to get into your Ripper or your Nash Knight or having Lupus come back every single time is still very relevant. So that's why this package is nice, because it buys you a turn or 2 until you can get your OTK going. So that is it for the quote-unquote engine. I guess these aren't engine, but I'm going to call them engine just because Magnum gets you into your Tenpai cards. So that's your engine, and then this deck can obviously fit a lot of non-engine. So for non-engine, we're playing 3 Fua, 2 Perillia. I like playing 3 and 2. I was playing 3 and 3, but I actually decided to play 2 and 2, or 3 and 2, because Perillia is actually a lot worse this format than it was last format. With Vanquish Soul kind of being gone, it's not as strong. Now, it's still good into decks like Mitsu and whatnot, which is why we're still playing it, but it's actually not the one I want to start with. If I start with Fua and I draw into this, I'm not upset, but what I don't want to do is I go Fua, draw multiple Perillia, or draw Perillia and Fua, and then draw more of these. Like, I don't want to see more of these names. Once I activate them once, I don't want to see them again. So what I do want to see is stuff like my 3 Ash, 3 Imperm. I know people are going to talk about Imperm, and I hear this all the time. This could actually be Nib. I'm not playing Nib. Imperm, the reason, you know, there's kind of the I don't want to say like it doesn't work, but the reason Imperm is kind of iffy with this is because like if you start with a Bystial or if you start with an Izuna, then you can't actually activate Imperm. You still can, you just have to play it correctly. You either start with your Imperm before you go Izuna, or you start with your Imperm before you go Magnamut, or or you just hold it as a breaker or whatever it is, right? So Imperm, if used correctly, is still one of the better cards, but it could also be Nibiru if you guys want it to be. 2 Veiler, and then 2 Bell. Of course, I'm playing 2 and 2 because, again, when we're using these Fuas over here, we want to be drawing into different non-engines so that we can be using different cards. So that's why I like these 2. This is also really good into the Draco Tail matchup, good into the Mitsu matchup. In general, this is just a pretty decent card, and then Veiler is also a really good card. So the thing with Tenpai is it's one of the few decks that can fit both hand traps and breakers. So we're playing the hand traps here, but we're also playing some breakers. So we're playing the 2 Thrust, the 1 Harpies, the 2 Raigeki, and the 1 talent. So this is kind of our like board breaker engine over here. I still think playing board breakers is never wrong. It doesn't not work with any of the cards that you're playing. Like if you're starting off turn 0 going like Ripper, let's say as an example, with your Izuna, and then your opponent, you pass it back to you, and then your opponent wants to use an effect, you go thrust into Raigeki and you're able to OTK there, right? Or thrust into talent or whatever it is. So I still like playing a breaker package in this deck. I think it just makes a lot of sense. And then to round it off, we're just playing 1 called by and 1 prosp. You can OTK under prosp all the time in this deck, especially with the K9 cards and the Bystials. Tenpai originally could always OTK under this, but now you also have additional big bodies that you can use to OTK. So prosp is never an issue in this deck. So that's it for the main deck. It's 40 cards here in the main deck. I'm very happy with this main deck, honestly. I think it's a very cool concept, and it's something that's unexplored, right?
Every card tells a story. Every game leaves a mark, and every detail matters. InfinityPRO was built for players who demand more. A flawless shuffle, unmatched clarity, a premium feel without compromise. This isn't just a sleep. It's focus. It's control. It's your game unleashed. Available in both standard and Japanese sizes, made for every player. InfinityPRO. Unleash your game.
I've been testing it. It's been pretty good for me, but I like this main deck. Moving on to the extra deck though, we are playing the 2 Bident and the 1 Transcendent, as well as the 1 Trident Dragion. I wouldn't change these, it's very standard. 1 Coup Belt and 1 Odd Eyes. That's it for the synchros, guys. We're not playing any more synchros. Maybe you can cut this. I was actually back and forth between this and Black Rose. I just decided to play this instead of Black Rose because I found that, if I'm setting up my K9 stuff, I don't want to just Black Rose it all away. So again, the synchros could be Black Rose, could be this. I like this one a little bit more. For the Ixies monsters though, we are playing Ripper and Werewolf. This is pretty standard. We're playing 1 Nash Knight, but I actually am playing a bigger Nash Knight package. So I'm playing the 1 Nash Knight, the 1 CXC's Nash Knight, the 107, and the number C107. Let me explain this a little bit. So if you want to use Nash Knight as a disruption, what you can do is you can summon the Nash Knight, and then you can put the 107 under it, okay, with the monster that you take, right? So now this is a disruption. On the follow-up, what's really cool is you can go CXC Nash Knight, detach the regular Nash Knight, and then go number C107. So because this has 107 now as a material, this can attack 3 times. You just have to tribute 2 monsters, but 4,500 attacking 3 times, this is going to give you an extra OTK button, right? Now, if you don't need that, if you think you can OTK without it, what you can do is you can just use Nash Knight the first time, and then use Nash Knight the second time. Like, you don't have to use this as an OTK, you can just use Nash Knight twice here. So that's why I like to play this like a little bit of a larger package, but I think it just makes sense. And then 1 Hieratic Seal, 1 SP, and 1 Striker Dragon. This is pretty standard. I wouldn't, change this up. This is pretty cool. You can play C104. You can play that package as well. I just like the OTK package. I think it just thematically makes more sense for this deck, where you're just trying to OTK and push for game. And now you have the Tenpai package that does it, but you also have the K9 package that does it, right? Lastly, for the side deck, I'm always going to say this with the side deck, it's always going to be up to personal preference, but the side deck here, I have 3 Phantasmi and 3 Pankratops. This is for the Yummy matchup specifically, and then Pankratops in general is not bad against other decks, but against Yummy, this kind of just gives you a nice board breaker package, draws you into more cards and then breaks boards, specifically the Herald. Like, the Herald is a big problem, so playing around Herald is very nice. And then we're playing the 1 Clocky and the 1 Grand Tusk. This is for going first. Clocky is good into all those light and dark decks, and then Grand Tusk is good into everything else where you can just pop 2 cards. And then, we're siding heavy to go first because obviously all of our cards are meant to go second. So if we're going first, we're still siding the 3D barrier. This is for Dracotail, 3 Solemn Strike, as well as a Solemn Judgment. Pretty heavy on the going first stuff, but that's only because the main deck is meant just to go second specifically, right? And against matchups like Yummy, where the K9 cards aren't really good, we really just side out most of those K9 cards. Like, there's 5 K9 cards we're playing in the main deck, so typically we'll side out those 5 plus an additional something else for 3 Pank and then 3 of this. So you really have to just side out 5 plus 1 for these 6, and that's your best Yummy cards going second, right? So yeah, the side deck is kind of built for everything in the format right now. I think, again, it's up to personal preference, but with the side deck, it just depends on where the format evolves and what your locals looks like, right? So thank you guys all for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Again, this deck is unexplored. It's not something I've seen before. If you guys have suggestions, obviously let me know in the comment section down below. That's how we get better together as a community. I do also want to say, if you guys want any of these cards, I get all of my cards here at Legendary Collectibles, and you can too at a discount. So use my code SPANKO5. You guys can get 5% off all of your Yu-Gi-Oh singles right here at Legendary Collectibles. So yeah, that's really it. I've been talking a lot, but I appreciate you guys for watching. It's a cool deck. I think you guys should try it out. Shout out Cameraman for cameraman. Thank you. Peace.
Get up, we want you to get on your feet.